This is an audio verification for the boardroom on January 10th, 2022.
Oh, yeah. Everybody ready? We're live now.
All right, we're live on.
Welcome, everybody, to the new year, to our first meeting in January 2022. And we haven't met since last year, you know. It seems like a long time. It's been a year. I know, that's an old joke. Alan Mincy, we welcome you. Haven't seen you in a long time. It's great to have you here.
I've avoided coming to.
You must have drawn the short straw, huh? Well, anyway, welcome. We're glad you're here. Lee is going to lead us in a moment of silence in the pledge in a minute, but today I was privileged to attend the funeral for Don Baldery, and some of you know he was on the city school board for 17 years and a fantastic community member. He was active in his church, and he was an employee of Hardwick and Maytag forever, and just a really wonderful, wonderful man. And he was eulogized by Bill Brown, who's in his church, but his granddaughter sang a beautiful song, and it was just a really, really nice service. And so when we have our moment of silence, if you'll think of the Baldery family, I think they'd appreciate that. And he's going to be missed, but he has been a great community servant. So, Leah, would you like to start us out this morning?
Yes, ma'am. If everybody would like to stand up, and please pause for a moment of silence. All right, and if you would turn towards the flag and repeat the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Leah, welcome back. We missed you in our December meeting. You were a busy young lady, though. And
yes, ma'am.
You can tell us about that in a little bit, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, board members, you have in front of you the consent agenda. Is there anything anybody would like to take off of the consent agenda and put on regular agenda? If not, I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. Perfect. Okay. We will go straight to Dr. Dyer and the director's update.
Okay, well, first of all, Happy New Year. Good to see you all this evening. Good to see all of our folks in the crowd and those watching as well. Professional development went really well last week. We had a great professional development day on Wednesday. Of course, we were out Thursday and Friday. But the first day we came back with our teachers and staff. That went really well, and it was good to see a lot of smiling faces out there learning the things that we need to make sure we're accomplishing for the second semester. Just as a reminder, the General Assembly returns to session this week, and folks are traveling to Nashville to get kicked off for another legislative year. I know that TSBA and TOS and Ames and all of us will be paying close attention, so I'll be sure to bring things to your attention as needed, and I'm sure that Carolyn will be on TSBA board, and those of you in the crowd over here will be watching too. So anything we need to discuss or talk to our local legislators about, we'll be sure to do so. The posting for Cleveland High School principal is now live on our website. As a reminder too, that also will post to other websites along the way, including sites like Indeed and Munster and other sites that are active, and people have already been asking about this position. So I'm sure that we're going to have some quality candidates from both inside and the outside that will be looking at that. This posting will stay up for a while. I'm not looking to necessarily do interviews until about the 1st of March, as I discussed back in our December meeting. We do have a community survey that will be going out starting tomorrow. We're going to make sure that is sent out and distributed in a whole lot of different ways so we can get as much and diverse feedback as we can from employees, from alumni, from the community in general, from students at the high school, employees in the district, and so forth. So that will be going out very, very soon. We also have some focus groups. I'm going to be meeting with our student advisory group coming up this Wednesday. We'll be holding employee feedback session at the high school, meeting with everyone from school cafeteria to teachers in the classroom and everything in between. So we want to make sure we get feedback there. We'll be attending the open house, the parent night at the school, and make sure that we're getting feedback at that session, as well as talking to community partners. So we're going to be making sure that we, again, get as much feedback as we can about what the community in general is looking for in our next principal at the high school. As a reminder, Martin Luther King Day is coming up soon, January 17th. Our schools and offices will be closed that particular day. To end my session tonight, I want to give a feature about Cleveland High School. We have a lot to celebrate in all of our schools. I'm very proud of what all of our schools are doing, and I look forward to doing sessions like we're about to do with all of our schools over the coming months. This is the beginning of what we'll be doing, but I think we can do this for all of our schools over the coming board meetings and help you better understand some of the great things happening at the school, but also the community in general. Now, we also will be using this since the principal opening is coming up fairly soon. Well, it's out there now. I think this is a good piece to get out and make sure that those candidates that are looking for a position maybe at our high school have some great information to look through. And it's a good thing that they can have just at their fingertips to see the great work that's being accomplished and something that maybe they want to chip in and be part of in the future. So we go ahead and go to the first screen. Just a reminder, Cleveland High School has been designated the Tennessee STEM school. That's something that a whole lot of people at the high school and our district office worked extremely hard on to get that designation, and very proud of that fact. STEM designations aren't just passed out. You have to earn those, and it's a very stringent process to go through, so very proud of that for the high school. Middle school is also working in that, and I know we have elementary schools that are underway as well. So very proud of the high school for being a STEM designated school. As we look at different programs at the high school, advanced placement is one that a lot of you are, well, I know you're all familiar with, and people in our community have at least heard of or may be familiar with. Over the last 10 years, if you look at 2011 versus 2021, you can see the vast growth in the number of AP type programs that are offered at Cleveland High School. I mean, it's just a tremendous growth period there, and the offerings for our students have exponentially gone up, and that's something, again, that's what we want to do. We want to have as many different variety of courses as we can for our students, so they can find stuff that interests them, and they can, take their time to really dive into more. And as we go to the next screen, you'll see additional information about the AP courses. You can see the number of AP exams given at the high school. I mean, look at that in 2011 versus 2021. Huge growth in the number of AP exams that are given, and the number of 3 or higher scores over those same amount of years. So great work being done by a lot of hardworking teachers and students, of course the principal and administration of the school as well. It doesn't just happen by chance. It's hard work and dedication to making sure that we're doing all we can to help our students benefit in what they're doing. But not only in AP courses, we also offer a wide variety of other courses for our students as well. We're very proud of our dual enrollment courses. As you can see, 258 on-campus dual enrollment courses underway, 170 off-campus dual enrollment, 495 on-campus dual credit courses, 273 or offerings, credits, excuse me, I should say, 273 work-based learning. Ryan back here that's working the camera for Mix 104 was part of work-based learning last semester, and now he's landed a job there, so we're proud of that, and he's doing great work. So, and 52 TVEC students are underway too, and just a reminder, our TVEC are students who are earning both their associate's degree and their high school diploma at the same time. So great work, a lot of hard work, but great work being accomplished by our students and our staff. We're also very proud of various ranking sites. U.S. News and World Report is one that's used more widely than any others that I'm aware of. And as you can see here, Cleveland High School, according to U.S. News and World Report, is ranked 62 out of 385 high schools in Tennessee. That's the top 16% for the rankings that are shown there. It's the #1 high school in the Cleveland metro area, according to U.S. News and World Report. The measures you see there include college readiness, college curriculum breadth, that includes AP courses and such, TCAP and EOC proficiency, underserved student population or performance, and our graduation rate. And as you can see, this is referenced by U.S. News and World Report through the Tennessean in a report from back in April. So I just wanted to make sure we're highlighting some great things and some great accomplishments. U.S. News and World Report was used widely in the high school where I was principal at Collierville High School on the other side of the state, and one that I've paid more attention to over the years.
And this is for 2021, right?
That's correct.
That's good.
That's correct.
So it's up to date.
It's up to date.
Well, they use a lot of measures instead of
Right.
just a test score or
Right.
just a graduation rate or whatever so many of the other sites use. And so this seems more encompassing of all the things that measure success of students after graduation.
I would agree. A lot of factors to come into that, and again, we're very proud of that fact.
I think that needs to be on the front page of the paper.
Well, we'll look back here. Scholarship funds. This is something, of course, I know Autumn is very proud of. I've heard her mention this numerous times. That this is a big deal. Our students last year walked away with $8 million in scholarship funds that they can use to go to whatever college they choose to, whether it's Cleveland State, whether it's a Lee University, whether it's whatever universities out there that they're looking to go to. That's something we're very proud of. An average of $21,052 per graduate is pretty outstanding. So big dollars, and that again is a result of their hard work. Speaking of hard work, level of effectiveness of our teachers at our schools, or high school, at the high school. LOEs were not generated for the 1920 year due to the pandemic, but this goes to 2021. As you can see, level 1 and level 2, there are 0 teachers. It goes from level 1 to level 5. Level 1's the lowest, level 5 is the highest. And this is a score generated by the state. As you can see, we have 25% of our teachers at level 5, 14% at level 3, and 61% at level 4. A level 3 is a solid year's growth for student. Okay, so that's what's expected. Level 4 goes up, level 5 goes higher than that. So for the vast majority of our students, when you look at level of effectiveness scores, are hitting at that expected growth for 1 year. And that's something that's very outstanding on behalf of our educators at the school. We also have some award-winning folks that work at the school, Autumn being one of them. Autumn O'Brien, our principal's in the room, of course, the Tennessee Department of Education Principal of the Year finalist for 21-22, as well as the Tennessee National Association of Secondary School Principals, which is that's a big word. There are a lot of words in that, but Principal of the Year, so we're very proud of her for that. Barbara Ector was the Tennessee Association of Secondary School Principals East Tennessee Assistant Principal of the Year. And of course, Jeannie Long was the 2020 Presidential Award for Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching Award winner for 2020. So we could go on and on and on with these kind of folks, but those are some award-winning educators that we have in our school system. The students are also very well-rounded. I've joked around this before, but if there is a club for every student at that school. I firmly believe that. I look at that as well as 24 at this high school. We have a lot of clubs at the middle school, a lot of clubs in our elementary schools even, but there's something for everyone. Sometimes you just have to get out and look for it. I hear students sometimes say, well, there's nothing here for me. I was like, have you looked? Because let me tell you, there's 24 offerings right here as far as clubs go. And then you have the world of athletics. Look at this, 400 student athletes, 38 state championships, 78 individual state championships, 95 state tournament appearances. And then you have the arts. There's just so many different pieces where our students are so active at that school and in the life of the school. And that's what brings that high school to life. And it's all about the students and what they're a part of, not only academically, but also what they're doing outside of that math realm and English realm, but also the student athletes and the fine arts folks. Good work. Just a quick note on the technology and some things we're doing in that arena. Dr. Raper did a good job of pulling this together for the high school. We have around 1,850 student MacBooks that students take home each and every day over at the high school. 180 faculty and staff MacBooks. Students are learning to code using Swift Playgrounds. I really may not know what that is, but that's out there, and they're learning to code, and they can make our computers and technology work, and that's what's important for the future, right? Access to industry software for students at school and at home. They're learning Adobe Creative Suite. They're learning the Microsoft Office along with a whole bunch of other stuff. But our kids are walking out of there knowing how to operate their computers and technology and take it to the next realm. Whether they're going to college or straight to the workforce, they have a good foundation for what they need in the world of technology to make a real difference in the next position where they go. Infrastructure there at the school, this one's really over my head, so if you have any questions, I'm just going to look at Dr. Raper and say, go for it. But you can see $25,000 spent this year to upgrade network infrastructure at all athletic events outdoors. That's a big part of what we do is broadcasting and making sure that we're taking care of folks at home that may want to watch our services or do our whatever. 10 gigabyte fiber network with redundant fellow. I don't know what that is, but I'm sure it's really important that we have that. 130 Wi-Fi access points at Cleveland High School for wireless connectivity. I mean, you think about that. At your home, how many do you have? 130 at the high school, and that's great. It means we can hopefully keep all of our Wi-Fi devices going. 4,000 devices connected every day over there at the high school. And that's just one school. 20 million web requests fulfilled every month, hotspots available to students that need them, and access to over 20 educational websites and applications that we either subscribe to or students use in some way. Career and technical. These are all the programs we offer. A wide variety. I mean, you look at Air Force, JROTC, culinary arts, cybersecurity, teaching as a profession, welding, robotics. I'm not going to list all those for you. You can look at those yourself. But again, we try to make sure we have a wide variety and a very diverse areas that students can choose from based on what their interest is and what they may want to do in their future. So we're very proud of that work that they're doing. Going along with that in CTE, some really interesting statistics here. 95.4% of our CTE concentrators graduate on time. 95.4%. So students that concentrate, for example, in auto mechanics, maybe they take all 4 years. Those students graduate around, I'm using that as an example, but 95.4% of those students graduate on time and move on to whatever is going to be their next move in life, whether that's going to a 2-year technical college, whether it's 2-year community college, 4-year college, or straight to the workforce with industry credentials. That's pretty impressive. 80% of students taking both CTE and college prep courses meet college and career goals. And you can see the number of individual students enrolled in CTE courses has grown every year since 2018. And if we went back further than that, it's grown even more than that. But this just shows 4 years growth. To this year, there's 1,198 students taking some CTE course somewhere in that school. And you can also see the industry certifications offered to high school students. I won't read all those to you, but you have automotive, aviation, all the way down to engineering. You have health sciences and so forth. That means students can obtain these industry certifications and go straight into the workforce with those credentials, ready to go to work if they want to. And that's pretty impressive that we have the amount that we have, from OSHA 10 all the way to ASE national certification, that you can walk into an auto mechanics shop and go straight to work making good money. So these are things that we're proud of, and I'm really glad that we're able to offer these for all of our students. We also have a lot of awards, and I won't go through all those, but if you look around, there's a lot of different things. 2018 engineering design for Wacker out there. We're doing work with them again this year. Very close partnership. 14 PCT certifications awarded. Biomedical Engineering Program of the Year. Colonel Scott Campbell, Teacher of the Year. Rennie Wittenbarger, Supervisor of the Year. A lot of different awards come through that CTE department, and we're doing really wonderful work thanks to a whole lot of, again, hardworking teachers and staff at that school, and of course our students. The CAPS Network, again, this is a fairly new program, but already we have 4 partnerships. Now, 2 of them, honestly, are on hold right now until we get COVID numbers back under control, especially our healthcare ones. That's kind of in waiting, ready to go, but we just have to work on that a little bit. But the Cleveland Utilities and the City of Cleveland CAPS programs are underway. And hearing rave reviews about, especially I'm hearing more because it's been established a little bit longer, the Cleveland Utilities program from people that are involved in it, learning a ton of new information, and their folks love coming to the high school to teach our students, and our students are loving going over to Cleveland Utilities to be part of that as well. So this is a program that will continue to grow. It's still very much in its infancy stage, and we're growing it slowly, trying to just build up to where we want to get to in the future, but very proud of where this is headed. As well as Raider Evolve. Raider Evolve is brand new this semester, and this is an entrepreneurial program that's been kicked off. Dr. Sayez and, Autumn, who else? Dr. Sayez and Ann Person are leading this program at the high school. Raider Evolve is going to basically involve students running corporations at the high school. So they're going to be doing everything from making of signs to printing of shirts and all these other functions, but they're basically running a business inside the school with consultants that are our teachers, and they have to answer to a board of directors made up of advocates from community businesses. And Dr. Elliott and I went and met with the initial meeting to kick off, and then we had to run out and go to another meeting. I think that meeting was supposed to take an hour, and I know you were there much longer, 2 hours, because it really took off. I think the community is going to really enjoy this program. This is just the beginning of it. So we're going to hear a lot more about Radar Evolve as we go, but you can see business plus accounting plus marketing plus sales plus manufacturing equals Radar Evolve. So students are going to be leading that. It's just going to be our facilitators at the school helping to guide them along, but the students are going to have to answer to the board of directors or whatever the official name is, and tell them and give them progress reports and answer tough questions from community business leaders as well as others in the community that are very involved in that program. So looking forward to that, and we'll keep you updated because this is brand new and we'll be interested to see where it all goes down the road. As far as ESL, we'll go quickly on this because we're going to learn more about this in just a minute, but you have about 720 English learners at the school right now, 13% of the CCS population total. We have 20 certified ESL teachers. You can see the top 10 CCS English learner birthplaces and our languages. But I'm going to skip past this because we do have a whole presentation on ESL coming up in a little bit, and we'll go from there. And just for a final slide on this, our STEM thinking map as well as our 5 C's. Just to remind everyone, the STEM thinking map is something we're using for our STEM approach for STEM designated schools. This is not just a high school thing, neither are the 5 C's. But just a reminder, when we're talking about STEM, this is where we're talking about. It starts with empathize, and then goes to clarify, generate, create, test, and the design thinking map all sums that up. So we're working hard to implement that at all of our schools, and we can have more presentation on that and go more in depth on that at another time. And of course our 5 C's, which is our promise to the community of what we want our students to be able to walk out of Cleveland High School once they finish a K-12 regiment here in Cleveland City Schools. When you walk out as a graduate of Cleveland High School, we want that to be just part of who you are. It's not a separate class we teach. It's not something we do on the side. It's just embedded into our overall programs of classes that we offer. So with that, that's the presentation that I wanted to make sure that you're aware of, that we're going to be putting out in social media and a bunch of other ways to the community here in the next few days, and actually over the month of January, but also that we'll be sending and make sure that people who are interested in applying for the job have. So that's my report tonight.
Good. Any questions, comments?
That industry certification, that's outstanding.
It is, absolutely.
I mean, that's really good. I mean, kids are not going to school or go to military, they can start out with a good paying job right away.
Right.
That's impressive.
It is. I agree.
Very impressive.
Very impressive.
Can we get a copy?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We can do that.
Any other comments? Okay. Thank you, Dr. Dyer.
Thank you.
It was excellent. Okay, we are ready. We're going to honor our SROs tonight. We really appreciate that group of men and women, and Sergeant Burke here is going to get them in here and introduce them, or I'm going to introduce this to Sergeant Burke. And y'all can just
We'll make you go to the
stand, you can stand in front of us.
more room that
And
way.
face that way, and you can say, yeah, come on this way. Yeah, you can stand in front of us, it's okay. We want to hear about you. Okay, Sergeant Burke, what did you decide to do? Are you going to introduce them, or are you going to let them introduce
I'll let them
themselves?
introduce themselves.
Okay.
I'm Charles Burke. I'm the sergeant of our SRO division. Travis.
Travis Gregg. I'm at the high school, been there for about 4 years with the department. This is my 24th.
Raul Cruz, I'm at the middle school. I've been there 5 years, and I'm the department for 8.
Mike Harris, I'm at Candies Creek Elementary. I've been SRO almost 9 years, and I've been at the department 29 years.
April Lackliff, I'm at Life Bauer. I've been there 17 years, and at the department for 22 years.
Willie Espinosa, the high school. Been there for 3 years now, for the department 7 years.
Nathan Hartwig, I'm at Mayfield Elementary School. Been there for just over a year, and with Cleveland Police Department for just over 2 years.
I'm Jansen Massey. I'm at Stewart Elementary. I've been there for 3 years. I've been at the department for 12.
My name's John Milan. I'm at Yates Elementary. I've been with the department for 24 years. I've been an SRO for 12.
So welcome, and we would like, Dr. Dyer's got a little gift for all of you all, and we have board members. you have things you would like to say to our SROs? Thank you for being here tonight.
Yes, thank you.
First of all, and we know you're busy and this is not really on your list of things to do, but we do want to recognize you every year and appreciate what you do in our schools and the connections you make with the students and their families. It's really important. Charlie, you want to say something?
I know most of you up there, but I worked with these guys for about 11 years in April 2, London, Navy. And what y'all do, athletic events or any kind of graduation, whatever, is greatly appreciated because I know how much that uniform means. You know, I have situation football games, and if I got a uniform there, it kind of calms down. But I really appreciate you because I've been with you. You've helped me out a lot, Mike, with ball games and kick him out of here, whatever we need to do. Y'all are great. Thank you.
I just want to say, I have grandkids in the system, and I had kids in the system, and I appreciate you all so much. I hear nothing but wonderful, wonderful things, and we're just so grateful that you're here, and hope that you never leave.
That's right. That's right. We want to keep you.
I had two of these when I was at Yates, and I love them just like family.
Thank you all for being here tonight. We appreciate it. We appreciate you so much. Thank you. Take your picture with Dr. Dyer. Thank you all. We can't thank them enough. No, they were standing
I dealt with some for 8 years, and this type of uniform does a lot. They call everybody down. Of course, I understand that.
I'm going to cry. Go sit down at the table and have lunch with us.
Let me tell you, there's a source of information to take. They know what's going on a lot, don't they?
The kids talk to them.
Yeah, they would come to me and it's all, hey, you need to know about this. And get it off in the past.
Yeah. We got a lot of ours with grants.
We born
They had to pick up the grant ran out. We're taking a pause here while we wait.
Take a picture so I can honor them on the website. I'm so glad they called Katie tonight.
That's good. What was the name of that?
CCS stuff.
The cups. Okay, that was nice. That was a great idea to do that.
So there's only one at every school.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Well, the high school.
It's fun to get a little party favors.
And I don't know if that's
So thankful.
a little bitty. I guess
Thanks for putting that together. Yeah. Well, they're so valuable to us.
We started them in
And I think that the parents love that too.
All right, we're back.
All right, all right. I think you are next on the agenda. All right, Dr. Dyer's going to run us through policies next.
All right, let me get my paperwork over here.
These are first reading policies.
First reading
We like to go
policies.
through those. And
Okay.
we'll approve them at the end or make changes.
Okay. First policy is 2.601, and this is on fundraising activities. Basically, with this, we're taking off some areas that TSBA as well as Chuck Cagle have advised we need to go back and look through and update with more modern language or just take things out. So we are taking out that first paragraph, and we're also taking out shall be authorized by the board. Basically, fundraising activities are approved through a process we go through now, Cindy, and then it officially is approved as from the superintendent's office through a designee. So we have a very thorough process for fundraising and a lot of checks and balances that are required by state law that we have to go through before a fundraiser gets all the way to the finish line to where students are actually asking or soliciting money or anything else. On the second page, we do have a new section that's in red, fundraising for non-educational purposes. And part of what we have to do here, well, what we're asking you to do tonight, is on first reading approve that an employee may be authorized to raise and use funds for the following non-educational purposes, and that could be bereavement support. So a lot of people call this the Sunshine Fund at a school, where if you have a death of either someone on staff or family member, you can send flowers. That money cannot come from a general school account. it has to come from a separate account, and that's where that money can come in. Awards, employee morale, banquets, a Christmas banquet or end of the year banquet, those kind of things, or other situations at the principal's discretion. And you can see those funds shall be derived from vending machine revenue, or if someone comes into the school and says, I'd like to donate $100 to the Sunshine Fund, something like that. So we have internal procedures ready to go with this, but you would need to approve this on 2 readings for it to move forward.
Any questions about this one? We used to approve fundraisers, but that was like chasing our tail because it was, the teachers couldn't give us a list at the beginning of the year because they didn't know necessarily what their clubs or their classes wanted to raise money for. So when we were looking at the policy, we thought we probably ought to take that out since we don't do that. And but we can put it in if you want to, but that's a board decision. So Dr. Dyer got Chuck Cagle, and they recommended that we take that out. Otherwise, it would be like field trips. We would have to be approving all of them. So, okay. Thank you.
The second board policy is really more of just an update, 5.3052, which is COVID-19 leave. Basically, we're striking out that this policy ended December 22nd, and now we're going to extend this through June 30th. So this just extends this policy until June 30th of 22.
Any questions about that one? Okay.
Student records. This has been, again, a very lengthy process working with Chuck Cagle, and Kelly Kaiser has done a great job of working with Chuck Cagle on this to get us to where we are. Basically what we're doing is updating our student records as well as our student records annual notification of rights. So this is 6.600 and 6.601. They're really tied very much together. And updating the parts dealing with mainly directory information and who has access to that and what is directory information and so forth. So, when you start looking in here, there are quite a few changes to our policy. Again, Chuck Cagle has looked at this. Hamilton County has an approved a very similar policy to this, and kind of was our starting point for looking at this. We have made some, I think, slight changes from what they have based on advice from our legal counsel. But just walking through it quickly, confidentiality of student records, it shows how that would be performed. Definition and use of directory information is very precise now, I think, where it was a little loose before this policy has been changed. Release of student records without consent, how that is to take place, and again, it's very precise. A lot of that didn't change because that's still state law about how that operates and who has access to those, but definition and specific uses of directory information was cited there. Release of student records consent, how that is accomplished, as well as record keeping and how we go about doing that. And then there was one legal addition, the U.S. Patriot Act 2001 was put out as a citation. So student records, any questions on that? I know there are more changes to this policy than the others, so I'd be glad to answer any questions you have, or Mr. Kaiser may be able to as well.
Any questions? I guess not.
Okay. Like I said, 6.601 is tied to that last policy, and basically it strikes out directory information because now that is covered in 6.600. So that's the only change to that, as well as some legal references, but that's what we have for approval tonight on first reading.
Okay, I need a motion to approve on first reading all those policies.
So moved.
So I have Peggy, Carol, and second. Any questions, discussion? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. Very good. Thank you, Dr. Tyler. All right, we are going to go and look at the 2022 annual agenda of the board. And we always do change this a little bit because as we go through the year, we figure some things out that we don't use. And this is just an outline. It's not a strict, we have to do everything on it, or we can't do something if it's not on there. But it gives us, as well as the public, an idea of what we're going to talk about each month at our board meetings. And if I'm a parent and I'm particularly interested in something there, I can look and see what month that's going to be there and come to the school board meeting if I choose. Or view it now online. So anybody have any changes to that we have sent you, or additions, subtractions? If not, I need a motion to approve it, please.
I make a motion.
Okay, Carolyn.
Second.
Second, or Krista or Charlie? All right, no more discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, excellent. All right, the next thing we're going to move to is the director's evaluation instrument, and Julie has printed it out for everybody. We sent it to you in December, so you could be studying it and deciding if you wanted to make any changes. So at this time, does anyone have any changes or suggestions they would like to make about this evaluation? And that's what we will use this month when we do the evaluation of Dr. Dyer. And if not, we just, Krista?
I've got a question. So just to clarify, when we look at this, I think I asked this last
You
time.
did.
Are we, and we didn't address it, so I just want to make sure. Are we evaluating the 2021 school year or the calendar year?
You did ask that, and I thought to myself, we didn't talk about that. What's your answer there, Dr.?
My response would be this would go back to the following year. You know, these are the things that were accomplished last year in the school year 2020, 2021, and that we've moved into this year. And then the next set of goals, I think, to clear that up, I think the next set of goals would start in February when we do this evaluation. 'Cause this comes up every year. So I think if we could clear that up beginning after we do this evaluation and start February to February, then we can move forward and everybody has a clearer understanding of exactly what we're trying to do.
Because that's what I assumed, because goal number 1 says the 2021 school year.
Right.
So I just want
Right.
to make sure that
Yeah.
that's consistent.
Yeah.
So it's the 2021 school year.
Right. It gets confusing, I think, because we do the evaluation falls in February, so it's not beginning, or it's not, you know, it's an odd break there, how that works. So we can work to clarify that to make sure we're all on exactly that same page. But yes, that's the answer I have for you.
And we do it at this weird time because in the fall, getting school started, there's
Right.
so much going on that we just kind of do it now before we get hit with spring. You know, by contract, we have to evaluate Dr. Dyer and by law as well. But this is just a good time because we have the time to have the meetings with him and those kind of things in the winter months when everything's not crazy like it is at the start of school.
So we might look in the future, February to February. I kind of like that, yeah.
Yeah, for the goals, I mean, it's an odd time to set goals because it's not,
Right.
but we can use that strategic plan and make that work, I think.
Okay. So are there any changes or anything on this? If not, we need a motion to approve this.
Good.
Okay, there we go. Nate
Second.
and Krista. Okay, any other questions? All
I
right,
want to thank Krista. She did a lot of this. I mean, she
She
simplified
did.
it, and it's a lot better than it used to be.
Yes,
A lot better.
it is. Krista did a lot of work on it.
And I will just add, you have the document that Julie and I have worked on as far as the proofs that you might need. But if you need additional information, because we did simplify it at the request of board members this year to be more cut and dry. But if you need more or additional information, just ask us and we'll be glad to get that for you.
All right, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, it's unanimous. Now, you will be in charge of making a time with Julie and setting an appointment to meet with Dr. Dyer and go through the evaluation, and then you leave it with her, and we'll compile the scores to report at the February board meeting, and you all will approve that or not, but, so just get with Julie at your... And then we decided, moving on to the board self-evaluation, that one fell at an odd time and we didn't do it last year. So I think it happened somewhere in the summer or something, we kind of did it. So traditionally, though, it's best to do it at the same time we do the director's evaluation. And we kind of compiled this from other evaluations we looked at across the state and across the United States. Our jobs are planning, promotion, and policy. However, you know, the board self-evaluations can be as detailed as we want. We can have, do we meet on time? Do we meet enough? We can do that kind of thing. But we thought this would be a good starting place because this is what we know by law our duties to the school system are. So we sent this to you all. Is this going to work for everybody? And what we'll do with this is when you do Dr. Dyer's, just turn your self-evaluation in with that, and Julia will meet and compile those as well. But we think what we'd really like on this is input from board members that things you'd like to see change or things you'd like to see better, because that's how we get better. And so I appreciate if you want to do that. You know, it doesn't matter who you are. It's you know, you can sign your name or not on it, but it's important to hear from every single board member what we can do to make our board meetings better, what we can do to function better as a board, and we always want to improve, just like we expect our educators to do. So that's need a motion to approve this self-evaluation. Nate?
Second.
And Tom? Okay. Any other questions about this? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. I really look forward to hearing comments and suggestions from you all. And you know, you all are free to give those to me anytime. And we kind of share with each other sometimes ideas that we have, and that's important. We got to keep doing that, but this will be our record of our self-evaluation, and that's one of the requirements for the Board of Distinction too. We need to have something in place that shows that we do that. All right. Strategic plan focus, Dr. Dyer.
Christy Duncan.
Christy, all right. I can't believe we have 20 ESL teachers. Remember, we just had one?
Remember when we had two.
Two.
And one was me and one was my husband.
Yeah, that's about right.
So things have changed a lot in the ESL world since I have been around Cleveland City Schools. I do appreciate you all having me here tonight to talk about the ESL program and the work that we're doing within our department. As I share with you tonight and go through this presentation, please feel free to stop me if you have any questions, and I will be glad to clarify anything. All right, I want to start with some demographic information because I think this always helps to sort of set the stage and the context for our program. Wanted to let you know that we currently have 1,450 non-English language background students within our school system. This represents 26% of the population of Cleveland City Schools. And these would be students that have identified a language other than English or a language in addition to English as their home language. So you can see that we have quite a bit of diversity within the Cleveland City school system. We have over 20 different home languages that are spoken. Spanish is the predominant language, as I'm sure you could have probably guessed. And then I included some of the other languages that we have. We have Gujarati, Chuukese, Vietnamese, and Ukrainian to kind of round out that top 5. And then I listed a few others as well that have smaller populations of students speaking those languages. All right, so not all of our English learners not all of our non-English language background students qualify for ESL services. Of the 1,450 NELB students that we have, we currently have 732 that we consider to be English learners. That is 13% of the Cleveland City Schools population. You can see the breakdown of our English learners in the various schools throughout the district, as well as the number of ESL teachers that we have assigned to work with the students at those schools. Most of our elementary schools have a relatively similar population, with the exception of Blythe Bower, which is our largest elementary ESL site. We also have large populations of students at Cleveland Middle School and at Cleveland High School. The majority of our English learners, over 50%, were actually born in the United States. And within the last several years, we've seen that most of our immigrant students coming in from other places are actually coming from Guatemala, as you can see in the chart. And then we have large populations of immigrant students from Mexico and Honduras as well. And then as well as a few other places and locations that I have listed to kind of round out the top 10 birthplaces here.
Yes. Yates?
Yes.
That's the little guys, and
Mm-hmm.
K1 and 2, and is that
33 and only one teacher. Is that okay for that? I mean, 'cause that's got to be hard with the little ones. So.
Yes, we're doing pretty well with that Yates population. We feel pretty good about that. Our ratio statewide is 35 students to one teacher.
Okay.
And that is actually an area where scheduling wise, we feel like we have good coverage at Yates. I think as we go into the middle school and the high school, that's where things are a little more challenging for us. And we have been a little stressed at Black Bower this year as well to cover the students that we have there, but we feel pretty good about that at Yates.
So
She works with them in small groups throughout the day and scheduling wise.
Kindergarten, first and second. That's
Yes.
gonna be tough.
Yeah. Fortunately, the schedule's really great. Stephanie has got a great schedule going on for the English learners at Yates, and she's able to work with them in small groups throughout the day, and that schedule's looking pretty good.
Okay.
Yes.
For high school, it's the number of learners are more than in middle school, but you have more middle school teachers than you do high school.
We do. A lot of times what happens with some of our more advanced English learners at the high school level, if they score above a certain threshold, we are still required to test them and monitor them, but they don't necessarily take an ESL class. And so even though I know the 155 looks larger than the 140, but we do have good coverage of the students that are enrolled in ESL classes at the high school. It's just that if some of our students have taken at the high school an ESL 2, a 3, a 4, they've pretty much maxed out at that, and then they need to be in other classes during their day to kind of round out their schedule, if that makes sense. Yes.
Do you have people in the system that are ESL teachers that speak Spanish that can translate?
Well, actually, as I come to one of my next slides, you're going to see some support staff that we have right now that are bilingual. That's one of the things that I wanted to highlight for tonight. Some of our ESL teachers also do speak Spanish and are able to use that Spanish to clarify as they're working with students. But I am going to get to a slide that kind of showcases some of our support staff that is bilingual. All right, so in terms of our strategic plan, our goal for English learners is that they will develop full English proficiency in listening, reading, writing, and speaking in English during their time in Cleveland City Schools. And so with our strategic plan, we have 3 key areas of focus that are listed here. First and foremost, we want to create a culture within our district where we're all working together to support our English learners. We want our administrators, we want our teachers, our classroom teachers, our ESL teachers, our families, our support staff working together for this goal. And so I think that's the first thing that we want to make sure that we're doing on our strategic plan. In order to do that, our teachers and our staff need training, and so professional development opportunities in working with English learners is the second area of focus on our strategic plan. And then finally, we know that our families play a key role in supporting their students, and so we're working on strengthening connections between the schools and the families of our English learners. So those are kind of our 3 key focus areas. And moving on to the next slide, you'll see those 3 focus areas. And then I have listed a number of things that we have done throughout this fall semester working towards each of those goals. I'm not going to go into all of those bullet points there, but I do want you to see that we've been very strategic in the work that we are doing in each of those areas. And so I'm going to pull out 3 items now to highlight for you from this strategic plan. And so the first are our staff members. This is item number 1, highlight number 1. We have been able, with our ESSER 3.0 funds, to take a position, a part-time position that we had last year, the ESL Family Engagement Coordinator, and turn that into a full-time position, calling that a full-time district interpreter / ESL Family Engagement Coordinator. And that has been a position that has been much needed for a long time, and we're very pleased to be able to have that now to support communication with our NELB families throughout the district. We do, as I mentioned, have a number of older students at Cleveland Middle School and Cleveland High School that need extra support. And so we have used some of our Title III funds to hire a part-time bilingual educational assistant to work with some of our newcomer ELs at Cleveland Middle School and at Cleveland High School. In addition, we are providing some mentoring with an immigrant youth specialist who is reaching out to some of our newly arrived immigrant students at Cleveland Middle School and Cleveland High School to help them integrate into the school environment. So we do have bilingual staff, and we are very pleased to have that bilingual staff.
Well, do you have access to like to Google Translate? Do teachers sometimes use their phones and their
They
phone
do,
books?
they do, and we actually, you know, there are some things that can be handled with Google Translate, and so one of the things that we do work to do within our department is to teach teachers how to use the tools like that that are available to them.
It's really very helpful.
Yes. Okay, moving on. So item number 2 that I want to highlight is some training that we have done this fall for our classroom teachers. Professional development is so important. And at Cleveland Middle School, we were able to provide a series of training this fall, 5 sessions called Ready, Set, Co-Teach. We have at Cleveland Middle School some situations where we have an ESL teacher co-teaching with a content area teacher. And
You said something.
I didn't get that. That's right. They're very excited about this program. We have ESL teachers that actually go into the math classroom or the social studies classroom, the science classroom, and co-teach with that teacher. And so that's a pretty unique relationship between those two teachers. And we were able to provide some training this fall to help them strengthen that relationship to better serve our students. So I was excited about that training opportunity that we completed. We had some good feedback from both ESL teachers and content teachers on that. We really, that's just an example of how we really want to get everyone working together for the benefit of our students. And so highlight number 3 is the newcomer ESL program that we have been able to offer as part of the extended learning opportunities that we have going on throughout the school system. We did this in the summer and also this fall. Within the context of that larger program, we were able to do a specific newcomer program that targeted students in their first or second year in U.S. schools. And as you can see, we had quite a bit of participation in that program in terms of the number of students participating and teachers that were working those programs as well. We used our district interpreter to intentionally reach out to these families to help them get registered, to explain the program to them, to connect them with transportation. And as a result, we really felt like we had good participation in the programs. And we do expect that to continue on into the spring as well. All right, and so in conclusion, I just want to emphasize what a privilege it is to work within this department with our ESL teachers, the students, and their families. We've got a strong program, we've got quality teachers, we've got really remarkable, resilient students, and then we've got families that are so grateful for the support that we are giving these students. And so I appreciate a system that works together for these students, and I appreciate the support that you give us to do that. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Tom, have a question?
Christy, this might be a little premature, but the Afghan people, many tens of thousands, are somewhere here in the United States. Have any come into this area yet? Like I said, it might be a little premature. Also, what language do they speak, or is it multiple languages like some of the other countries?
Okay, I know of one situation where we do have a student at Cleveland High School, and I guess without saying too much, that was a situation where that what we heard in the news has kind of become real to us in Cleveland, and I believe it was a translator family that ended up making their way here. And so the language it starts with an M. I think it's Maiwand, M-A-I-W-A-N-D. And so as far as I know, there is that one family. I did reach out to an organization in Chattanooga that is also working with some of the Afghan refugees, and it seems that most of them have settled in the Chattanooga area, but they said that if any more were headed our way, they would be in contact with us to let us know.
So they have an upper hand since the mother or the father were translators.
They were actually translators, so yes, that kind of puts them in a different situation. But as far as I know, they've integrated quite well so far into our system.
Questions?
No, not a question. You know, I have heard that it's better for the parents to continue to speak their native language to their kids rather than to speak English.
Well, and I think, yes, actually, what we want is for students to have well-developed language skills in any language. And so for families that speak another language, continuing to speak that language at home, to read to their students in that language at home, to develop academic skills, even in that native language, then transfers over to English. And so we do want to just promote literacy and academics in any language, knowing that that will transfer to English.
Christy, how do you feel about the participation of the families in, as you know, the children start? Do they come for conferences and those kinds of things and in the activities?
We have seen great participation from our families. In terms of families who have been in Cleveland City Schools for a while, we can expect to see them at family nights, at parent conferences, things like that that we're offering to those families. I think the addition of the district interpreter is going to help us with some of our newly arrived families. The individual that we have in that position is very outgoing and is very able to connect with these families to put them at ease. And so I think that, just having someone that they know that they can communicate with and advocate for them is going to increase participation for any of those newly arrived families. But overall, our ESL families are very involved.
Other questions, comments? It's amazing what you all do, Christy. I think we have such a great community in Cleveland, and we all sometimes forget that we have all these cultures.
Absolutely, yeah. I think we don't realize how diverse we are, but it's neat, and I think it benefits us all.
It does. It's a strength of ours, and so thank you for the work that you do. Could we get a copy of the slides?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Certainly.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Excellent report. Okay. COVID plan update.
Okay.
Oh, Laura.
What's your comment today?
Thank you guys for letting me share here tonight. So I'll just start out with saying as our COVID numbers start increasing in our community, we all know that that's happening. Our COVID task force will meet this week to kind of review our tiers and all of our plans and things and make sure that we're ready to go if we see a spike in our tier our tier criteria. So just we are going to be looking at that, kind of letting our school nurses get back in. They've been making a lot of phone calls today, updating those numbers and spreadsheets and getting documentation and things like that. So we are looking at that and we are prepared. So I'll talk a little bit about testing. I think that's something that we have going on right now that's really good for our students, our staff, just our whole school community. So we're currently offering rapid COVID testing and PCR testing to all of our staff and students. You can receive a rapid test in any school, so parents, students, staff, not for the parents, but they can have their child tested at the schools. PCR is available. We use a drive-through type PCR testing at the high school. Our COVID nurse is able to perform those. We began testing on 8/30/2021, and since then we've performed 189 tests. Of those tests, and I think this is really important, 140 were able to return to school or to work. So, being able to provide that during the school day, and 140 of those people were able to go back, that helps.
What is the time on a rapid test?
It's about 10 to 15 minutes. I think the test is 10 minutes, so, to be able to collect the data and then report, it's about a 15-minute turnaround.
What's the reliability on the test as far as false positives, false negatives? Do you know?
I do not know that number right offhand, honestly. We use the QuickView SARS antigen test for our rapid testing, and so, you know, I'll have to look that up. But I think that's pretty standard test,
Right. Oh, yeah.
rapid testing.
I think so.
And then also with testing, on January 4th, before our Staff Development Day on January 5th, we were able to offer testing to our staff that were going to return the next day. We did this at Cleveland High School. I don't know if you guys have seen the bus behind the softball field. Hal has turned that into like a mobile clinic for us. So we're thankful for that, though, because it does provide an easy way for people to pull in, and we're able to test them. We don't have, you know, transmission is not as high if someone is symptomatic, so that's really nice. So that's been a great asset to our COVID testing. And then also with our ELC funds, we do still have it in the plan to purchase a mobile clinic that will be able to move from school to school. So this will be another great, you know, feature or thing that comes from the ELC funds. We're hoping to have that here by March is our goal. So, and then the last thing, I guess, is just I want to make sure I show my appreciation to our school nurses for all that they have done. Our COVID nurse, they answer all of the questions for admin, students, staff regarding COVID, regarding symptoms, isolation, quarantine, and that gets kind of tricky sometimes. So I do appreciate them. I appreciate our COVID nurse who is always willing to go to any school if a school nurse is overwhelmed and provide testing. She she has been wonderful to work with, and so I just really appreciate that staff. So do you all have any questions?
Dr. Dyer, what's the number as of today, maybe you don't know,
Right.
of teachers that are not in school?
I believe as of this morning, and Mr. Kaiser can update me if I need to, but I think the number of total staff that were out were around 34, and we were able to provide subs up to about 26 or 7, somewhere in there. So the vast majority of classes were covered by a substitute. And of course, for those others, you pull a teacher assistant or do other things or ask a teacher to cover. So for day one, I would say that we did pretty well coming back. Of course, we'll monitor that every single day and see where we are. But having that testing on site does allow that if a teacher is feeling a stuffy nose or whatever, can go get that test, and if it comes back negative, can go back to the classroom and keep teaching if they feel they can do that.
Does the test tell you which variant a person might have?
No.
No, that's what I thought. It just says
positive or negative.
or negative. Okay.
Yes.
So we filled 26 of the 34. Did we get the new substitute plan now, the program? Is that helping?
Right.
I think it's helping. I think it's still challenging because we have the same job market as everybody else in the country.
Yeah.
But it seems to be helping.
Helping? Okay.
They're getting started. We'll give them a month or two.
Okay.
So I have a question. If a student complains of a scratchy throat, they don't have a fever, but the school nurse decides to call mom and dad and have them come and get the child, is a test required for that student to come back to school?
No, not necessarily. We would probably, the school nurse would recommend that they do follow up with their pediatrician.
Okay.
And then be symptom-free for 24 to 48 hours, depending on their symptoms.
This time of year, there's just so much respiratory stuff going on that, you know, we all think COVID when we, but you don't want these students to miss school if they feel well enough to be there.
And our school nurses are really well-versed in offering that test at this point to those families so that they know that that is available. So.
Oh, that's great. That's Nate?
So does that mean a doctor's note's not required either?
It's kind of a principal's discretion on what has been required. You do want some kind of documentation. So if you do have that COVID test, whether they go to the doctor to get that, the doctor tells them when they can come back, or if they take a test at school, you do need some kind of documentation. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a negative COVID test.
But that might, you know, we're all parents here, and you know, sometimes your children are sick and you got to give them 3 days and they'll be okay, and you don't go to the doctor. Not only because maybe you can't get in, but also the cost.
Right.
And so if you can get the COVID test at school, I mean, the COVID tests, I thought, need to be 3 to 5 days out from the symptoms
And
they
we
may
do-
show negative and they may be positive.
Right, and we do, if they have symptoms, one thing that we do recommend is that they do follow up with a PCR test. So if the
Okay.
if the rapid is negative, then we would, ask them to follow up with the PCR. And so offer that also, and that's also free. Those are all free to all of our staff and our students.
Oh, that's great.
So,
If they go to the doctor, they would test for COVID, but do they also test at the doctors for strep? Because I've heard a lot of kids say they did not have COVID, they had strep.
that would be something that they would follow up with their pediatrician to do. We could rule out COVID, and then we do have capabilities to do strep and flu.
You do?
Yes, through telemedicine. But just for, just in our clinics, what's free and not have to go through insurance or anything like that, we can rule out COVID. And then if it's not COVID and they want to follow up with their pediatrician, they could go to their pediatrician to be strep or flu tested.
But if they have insurance, you all would be able to test them if the parents requested it? Is that what you're saying?
We could do telemedicine, and that's for anyone,
Telemedicine. Okay.
insured or uninsured.
Okay.
Yeah, my grandchildren go to Oak Ridge, and the pediatrician comes outside, and he's got his white coat on. He's got a strep test in this pocket, flu test in this pocket, COVID.
Yes.
And the child never has to get out of the car, and they do those tests. And it's just like,
Seems to
don't
be a
even-
lot of strep right now.
And we've been doing a lot of drive-through testing, even in our
Have you?
school, like in our elementary schools, not just at Cleveland High School where we have that capability. Our school nurses will go out and meet families in the parking lot and test, or staff members in the parking lot and test, so.
Well, thank our nurses.
Yes.
We know this has been a challenging, it's challenging without COVID, but this has just made it even more challenging. And we do have nurses in all of our schools, and we're glad that we have
Yes.
that. And we got that before we had COVID, so that was a good thing.
Mhm.
So thank them for
Yes.
us on behalf
Yes.
of the board, because we know they've done a wonderful job, and you have too.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for
Did
everything
you write
you've
one
done.
time she's a rock star? Did you write that one time when you were in emails? You are.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very
Laura,
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe when we
Are you
get through with all
seeing
this.
any increase in mask wearing, or what, were you?
Today, returning, honestly, I haven't been in the schools very much today, but I believe that, that's just something that right now, if their families feel like that's what they need, then that's what they're doing. So, but I haven't noticed it myself.
I was thinking that when all this COVID stuff is over, maybe we need to recognize our nurses,
Absolutely.
just like we did our SROs.
Will it end?
But for right now, we're going to let them rest at night.
Yes.
So.
I know, you always think you punish them. Now, Leah, it's your turn, and you can take all the time you want, because there's no ball game or anything tonight. And everybody's hoping that. So no pressure or anything, but we look forward to hearing from you.
All right, so as far as sports go on Raider Drive, while we haven't been in the building, our students have been very busy throughout their winter sports. Our girls wrestling team, this is their first year with the program being active, and they are currently ranked 2nd in the state. We have a couple wrestlers who are ranked individually in the state, with Brianna Stringer being ranked 6th in the state. Piper Fowler is currently 1st in the state and 4th in the nation. And Diamond Young is currently ranked 4th in the state. We wrestle Bradley at home tomorrow night. It will be their senior night, and their regional duels will be held on January 22nd. For swim, Jaden, I'm going to butcher this last name, Dauphiné, and Sarah Pirtle have both made state cuts, and many others plan on making them soon. Senior night is tomorrow at 6 p.m., and they will compete at the UTK Championship meet on January 22nd and 23rd. One senior, Sarah Pirtle, has committed to Berry College for swim. Our boys wrestling team is currently 1st in the state. 11 of 14 wrestlers are ranked in the state. On January 27th is the regional duels, and February 4th and 5th are the state duels. We will be wrestling for our 5th consecutive title. Also, Ashton Davis has committed to Cornell to wrestle. Our girls basketball team, they started off tough and had very many injuries with a difficult schedule. They're currently 12-4. Over break, they went to Greenville and played in the Andrew Johnson Bank Ladies Classic. Teams from all over the region played. We finished 4th out of 20 teams. They also held a pancake with Santa breakfast before Christmas. This event was a huge success, and they plan on making it a yearly event. Our boys basketball team is currently 5-9, but 1-2 in the district, and we have 2 district games this week. We host Walker tomorrow night and travel to McMinn County on Friday night. Hopefully this week will help turn our season around. For our bowling team, they finished up their season. They finished 8-4 regular season and 3rd in the district. Our own Coach Lamagna received Coach of the Year. Joe Colin made the girls all-district team, and Ethan Mayo and Tommy Rollins made the boys all-district team. Our Winter Guard is entering their season. Their first competition is set for February 5th. They have 5 competitions total, 2 in February, 2 in March, and then the championship is in April. For our music and theater departments, theater finished up their class playoffs. The junior class won the class playoffs with a play titled The Actor Games. The performance showcase will be this month. The school musical will be Freaky Friday. Auditions will be in February, and the musical will be held in April. Our concert band, there were senior clinic tryouts held this past weekend. We had 9 students make All-East and 2 students make All-State. In March, they will travel to Maryville College for the East Tennessee Concert Performance Assessment. Renaissance will be starting their season this month as well. Their first competition is on January 29th in Montgomery, Alabama. They have 2 competitions in February. On February 5th, they travel to Albertville, Alabama, and on February 26th, they travel to Tift County, Georgia. Our CTE classes, our digital media class, they have started renovations in the media room, and I have been told that the new flooring has been installed. Our pharmacy class just completed their first full semester within the new CTE program. Our pharmacy, 423 Rader Pharmacy, is up and running. They have a lab set up where our students can make enemas, suppositories, cough syrup, and chapstick. In other news, we also had new classes that were added for our special needs students this past semester, and our students are thriving and benefiting from those classes greatly. Coming up, the CHS leadership team is beginning to look at the new courses to possibly add to the course catalog for next school year. The CHS World Languages will host a Culture Day on February 25th, displaying projects by students, and some will include food. In February, we will celebrate Cultural Awareness Month at CHS. We will spend this month highlighting the cultures of the world, especially those that our students may come from. The CHS Open House will be on January 27th from 5:30 to 7:30. This is when all families are welcome to come and visit with their students' teachers. This week is Law Enforcement Appreciation, and I know we already thanked our SROs, but I just wanted to give a little extra love to Officer Gregg and Officer Espinoza for being amazing SROs, and I'm very thankful to have them on our campus.
Well, tell us a little bit about your trip to Hawaii, please.
It was fantastic. It was rainy the whole time, but even rainy Hawaii is still a lot warmer in Cleveland. I did not want to come back.
And you cheered?
Yes,
Tell us what
ma'am.
you did.
So I was part of the All-American cheer team, and we performed in the 81st Annual Pearl Harbor Day Parade. And that was really fun.
Fantastic. Awesome. Congratulations to you.
Thank you. Anybody have any comments or questions for Leah? We're glad you're back.
Good report.
Glad you didn't stay in Hawaii.
That's right.
You thought about it.
Thought about it. I might go broke a little bit quick.
Yeah. You've got to have a lot of money to live there. All right, Dr. Iyer, we'll let you conduct the officer election.
Okay, time for the annual officer elections, and we'll start with chairman. Would anybody like to make a nomination for chairman of the school board?
I'll nominate Don Robinson.
Okay. Any other nominations? Do we have a second for that nomination? Okay, we have a second for Peggy. So we need to take a vote. You just raise your hand to vote for Don as your next chair of the school board. Okay. Motion passes. You're supposed to say that. There you go. All right, we'll take nominations for vice chairman.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Tucker down here.
Okay, we have a nomination for
Who's
Mr.
Mr. Tucker? Oh, you mean
He told me to say
that.
Mr. Tucker. That's Nate's dad.
Any other nominations? Do we have a second for the nomination of Mr. Tucker as the vice chairman?
Second.
Okay, we have a second, and we'll take the vote. I'll raise by show of hands.
Motion passed.
Thank you very much. And now chairman pro term. So chairman pro term, do we have a nomination for chairman pro term?
I'll nominate Krista.
Okay, nomination for Krista. Do we have any other nominations? Do we have a second for that nomination?
Second.
Okay. I never did ask if you would want that position, by the way. So we'll go with it. And if you would raise your hand to vote for Krista as your chairman pro tem.
Motion passed.
Motion passed.
All right.
Good job,
There
Julie.
you go. Congratulations, everybody.
Yay. Thank you all. I appreciate your support. And Mr. Tucker and Ms. McKay, we will depend on you to step in here when I am not here. Which I hope that isn't ever, but anyway. It's been a great meeting. I know everybody wants to come to the ball game tonight. Anybody have anything for the board? Dr. Dyer?
I do not.
Anybody?
Enjoy
All
the
right,
game.
Then we will adjourn by general consent. Good night, you all.
Thanks.